Hi guys, this is Kingsley, Space IQ. So today we're going to be having a very exciting conversation regarding DNS. So what is DNS? DNS stands for Domain Name System. And why do we need DNS? I'm going to give us a practical example. For example, we have google.com as an instance. All right? What is google.com? Google.com is a domain name. Google.com is a name, right? Now, the reason for this is the computer doesn't understand what google.com is. It only understands numbers, which is IP addresses, right? So it only understands numbers. And we that are humans, it's going to be very difficult for us to be able to be accessing websites with the IP addresses of those websites. It's going to be very tedious. And in most cases, we may not remember certain IP or certain numbers that are associated with the different websites we want to access. All right. So now that's the reason why. That's the reason where the reason why the domain name system is in place. And what does the domain name system act as? When you type a website address like google.com into your browser, like I had earlier mentioned, the computer does not understand the name, right? So the DNS translates that's this very domain name into an IP address, which is the actual address of the server where the website is hosted. Every website has a backend server where it is hosted in or where it is hosted on, right? So it is the work of the DNS, the domain name system, to be able to translate the domain name into the recognized IP address of the server where this website is hosted on. So this process is called DNS resolution. All right. Now, let me just explain to you. And the reason for this is to make the internet user friendly and also align us that are humans to use names instead of numbers. All right. So it allows us to, it makes the internet user friendly so we can use names instead of numbers to access websites, right? Now let's come back to Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365 has some records that you need to verify. Okay? When you purchase a Microsoft 365 service, or maybe you opted for a trial subscription, and then you set up you create the tenants. All right? By default, when you create a tenant, let's log in. I just logged into admin.microsoft.com, and then we go to settings and then go to domains, which is what I just did. Okay, so admin.microsoft.com, go to settings, go to domains. By default, when you purchase or when you opt in for a Microsoft 365 subscription, either paid or trial, and then it creates a tenant for you. By default, it's going to have a .microsoft.com domain. So that is the domain it comes with. And this domain is Microsoft owned domain. So it is a temporal domain that allows you to be able to still utilize resources in this tenant, right? You can still utilize resources from this tenant. You can still send emails under this domain, but it is not advisable, right? Now, the reason for this is so that it can be able to allow you, give you some time to be able to verify your own domain that you have purchased or bought from a domain provider. We have different domain providers. We have GoDaddy, we have Crazy Domains. A lot of people from Australia region, they often use crazy domains, right? Crazy Domain. We have Crazy Domain. It's a name of a provider, Crazy Domain. So we all have GoDaddy. We have Network Solutions. So we have different domain names, right? We have different domain names or domain hosting providers, right? We have different domain hosting provider. Now, I have a domain. The name of my domain is speccorp.xyz. Now, I need to verify this domain into Microsoft 365. Now, let me give us a little bit of context about the Microsoft DNS records. We have the TXT record, all right? We have the TXT record, and what is the TXT record responsible for? So we need to understand that with the TXT record, it provides that domain verification capability for us, okay? So it provides that domain verification capability. I have a domain, and the name of my domain is speccorp.com, and I want to add the domain to Microsoft 365. The TXT record is responsible for domain verification. All right. So let's go ahead and add the domain. Okay. Go to settings, go to domain, click on add domain. And then I'm going to add my domain. What is the name of my domain? speccorp.xyz. Okay. Which is the name of my domain, speccorp.xyz. And then I'll click on use this domain. Okay. It's not going to tell me add a TXT record to the domain's DNS records. Okay, so I'll click on continue. It's going to propagate the TXT record I'm going to add. Remember, like I mentioned, the TXT record is the record that is required to verify your domain. Unlike other domain providers, if you go to GoDaddy, go to manage my domain. Under manage my domain, you click on the three dots at the right hand side. You're going to see where they say manage DNS management. You're going to see DNS management. Just click on it and then it will take you to the section where you have to verify your domain. However, with GoDaddy, you don't need to do this manually. That's the beauty of GoDaddy. So GoDaddy has a partnership with Microsoft where you don't need to verify anything in terms of adding your records manually. All you just need to do is, once you type the domain, the Microsoft 365 is going to automatically detect that domain name that it is hosted with GoDaddy. And it will tell you, do you want to continue to verify these records? In a situation whereby it may recognize that, oh, this domain is with GoDaddy, but you need to sign in. It will tell you, hey, please sign in with your GoDaddy credentials. And once you've signed in, it's going to tell you, okay, do you want to continue to verify this domain name? Once you click on continue, automatically it resolves it for you. So that is the beauty. You don't need to be adding all these records I'm about to add manually. But if your domain provider does not provide such, then you may have to add them manually, like I'm doing. Okay? So I'll just type in the value under the address of value section, and then I'll click on save changes. Okay? Once I click on save changes, I will then go back to Microsoft 365 and then click on verify. So it is verifying my domain name. Okay, so now it has verified the TXT record. I'll click on continue. It's going to take me to another section. And the next section is to add additional DNS records. And these records are MX records, CNAME records, and TXT record again. I'm going to come back to it. Now, starting with MX record. What is MX record? MX record is known as mail exchange record. So the MX record directs email traffic to the correct mail server for your domain. So in Microsoft 365, it tells the mail servers where to deliver email destined for your domain. For in a situation whereby you send an email from Microsoft 365 to a recipient and now the recipient replies. Once the recipient has replied that email, automatically the email is being routed back to Microsoft 365. So the record responsible for that is the mail exchange record, which is the MX record. Now we have the CNAME record. The CNAME record, the CNAME record is known for auto discover. Let me give us a practical example. You know, there are situations whereby some people may be using Gmail or they may be using a webmail, and then they are still they have their emails configured to Outlook, and they are able to send and receive emails from Outlook application. That is the Outlook clients, right? Now, that is the work of the auto discover, right? Now, your ability to be able to configure your Microsoft 365 email with the Outlook desktop application, right? It's responsible, or this is responsible for it, which is the auto discover, right? Now, the auto discover allows email clients such as Outlook application to automatically detect and configure email accounts. So that is why you need this record to automatically detect your Microsoft 365 mail server when trying to configure it to your Outlook clients. Now, we have the last one, which is the TXT record. Okay? Now, under the TXT record, we have a record we need to verify called SPF. SPF is called Sender Policy Framework. Okay? What is Sender Policy Framework? So it ensures only authorized servers or servers can send email on behalf of your domain. So the Sender Policy Framework is more for email security, right? It helps to prevent spoofing and phishing attacks by validating legitimate email sources. So if an attack vector tries to send malicious email into your domain, the SPF is responsible for email validation to ensure that, oh, okay, this email is coming from a trusted sender. All right. So if it's not coming from a trusted sender, it automatically whitelists these malicious emails and moves them to junks. All right. So this is very, very important, and this is necessary for email security. So let's just go ahead and add the record. So we're going to add the MX record. You now go to record type, MX, and then you click, you paste it under the address value. Now the priority is always set to 0. Based on Microsoft, it's going to tell you, okay, set the priority to 0. And the reason is very simple. So that it's going to receive first-hand emails coming into your organization, right? For example, by default, or technically speaking, you cannot have more than one MX record pointing to different providers, all right? You cannot have more than one MX record pointing to different providers. So you need just a single MX record that has to be pointing to a single domain or to a single provider or email provider, all right? So by default, it is important to always set the priority to 0, all right? So which is what we just did. And then we'll click on Save Changes. We'll go back again to add the CNAME record. You click on record type, CNAME, the host name, you paste, copy the point to address, you paste, and then you click on Save Changes. We'll go back again. The last one, the TXT record, we are going to add the TXT record, which is for the Sender Policy Framework for email security. And then I paste it and then click on Save Changes. So based on the communication from your domain server or your domain provider with Microsoft 365, in some cases, it might take 3 minutes, 5 minutes, right? But from my own perspective, anything that passes about 1 hour, it means something is wrong, right? It's either there is that the DNS is not resolving very well. So you need to either check with your hosting provider, or sorry, with your domain provider. Hey, I have this domain, but I'm not able to verify it with you guys. What is the issue? So they will not be the ones to investigate, right? So I really do not believe, from my own point or from my experience, once a domain verification with Microsoft exceeds 3 to 5 minutes or 30 minutes at most, then there is a problem. That is my own point of view, right? So I have added these domains, these DNS records to my domain provider, and then I'll just click on continue. Okay, so good. The domain has now been verified. And you can see that the domain name is showing as healthy, right? Healthy means that the domain is okay and perfect to be used. You might see some other domain status, right? In Microsoft 365. If you check domain verification status, domain verification status in Microsoft 365, you will see some other domain verification status where you might be seeing some other domain status like okay, something is not right, maybe it's not healthy. You are going to see different domain verification status, right? I may not be able to remember any off the top of my head, but you definitely know. All right. If once it's not healthy, it means there is something wrong. All right. You either try to re-verify those domain names again, which possibly would resolve the issue. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, guys. I hope this session has been very informative and explanatory. Please don't forget to like, drop a comment if you have any question. I will always respond. Drop a comment and please don't forget to subscribe. Okay. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and drop a comment. Okay. Thank you very much, guys, and I will see you all again in the next session. Bye bye.